So, you want to know how to play Live Twin? Well, you came to the wrong place, sorry to tell you. Nah, I'm just kidding. We're going to be going over basic combos for Live Twin, as well as the Sprite variant, and also some other recommendations. If you were clicking on this video to learn the Fiendsmith combos, I do not own the Fiendsmith stuff, so we will not be going over that, unfortunately. It is very easy though, most of the lines tend to involve you either using Engraver to grab Tract, go into Lurry, do your link plays to either make DS Array, or if you want to go to the rank 6 plays, so on and so forth. We're not going to be talking about that here. So, first thing we're going to do is we're going to go into a deck profile, and I'm going to speed through it real quick because I'm sure you're here to see the combo portion of the video. And I will leave a timestamp in the video so that you can kind of quickly go between different things without having to waste your time like searching and searching, trying to figure out what part of the video you need to be in. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into it, alright? So, for the main deck, I am playing 3 ki-sikil. It is your best normal summon, as well as 3 ki-sikil Frost. This is literally a 1-card combo, you do not need anything else besides the one of lil-la, and I am only running 1 lil-la Suite. The reason for this is because you typically don't want to open Suite, so you could get away with running 2, just to prevent yourself from opening the one of and breaking your entire game plan. However, with so many ways to get to ki-sikil Frost in the deck, you really don't have to worry about that too much. You could just normal summon this, go into something like Gigantic Sprite, summon the other ki-sikil from deck, and then go into your plays like that. Moving on, I'm playing 3 Sprite Blue, 2 Sprite Jet, 1 Sprite Red, and 1 Sprite Carrot. This package is more than enough, you're not going to need any more. You could honestly get away with cutting a Jet and then cutting some starters if you wanted to. However, I'm already running a ton of hand traps, including 3 Nibiru, 3 Ash Blossom, 2 Ghost Bell, which this card is both offensive and defensive, because this deck loses hardcore to things like Bestials, Called By, anything that would remove the Live Twin stuff from your graveyard you want to prevent, so this just helps you with that. 3 Droll and Lockbird, 3 Effect Veiler. Moving on to the spells, we have 3 Sprite Starter, and like I said, you can cut this, but I like having the ability to extend past Interruption, and having this helps you play through Nibiru in instances where you typically can't set up a board to stop Nibiru. 3 Sunny Snitch, 1 Triple Tactics Talent, 1 Crossout Designator, 1 Called By the Grave, triple Infinite Impermanence, and 1 Sprite Double Cross. Now, for those of you who are familiar with the Sprite variant, I am not running the quick play spells because I think they are trash. They do not do enough on their own. Double Cross is worse than Smashers going second, however, Double Cross is a generically better card in every instance, whereas Smashers forces you to essentially go neg 2. Not worth. For the extra deck, I'm running 2 Triple Sunny, 2 Evil Twin lil-la, 2 Evil Twin ki-sikil, 1 ki-sikil Deal, 1 Underworld Goddess of the Closed World. You can cut this and run whatever you want, it's a flex spot. 1 Abawaku, 1 Nightmare Unicorn, 1 Muckraker, 1 SP Little Knight, 1 IP Masquerena, 1 Gigantic Sprite, as well as 1 number 65 Jin Buster. Now, a lot of my choices in the extra deck are going to be shown for why I run them shortly, and just to speed through the side deck real quick, I'm playing 1 Red Resonator. You summon this off Gigantic Sprite to essentially give yourself more life in time. 3 Deck Lockdown, because you make your board, you activate this, and it doesn't affect you anymore. 3 Dark Ruler No More, 2 Lightning Storm, 3 Evenly Match, and 3 Solemn Judgment. You might be asking, oh, what about targeted stuff for things like Malice and Ryzeal? I have not lost to Malice a single time at locals, and I probably never will, because that deck is a fraud. As for 𝐒𝐨𝐜𝐢𝐚, I just do not I genuinely do not care enough about 𝐒𝐨𝐜𝐚 or Mitsurugi to side specifically for them. I'd rather side for my deck's weaknesses than try to side into the weaknesses of specific matchups that I already win most of the time. Now, to talk about a couple of things, so ki-sikil is, like I said, a one-card combo. This is going to be the combo portion of the video. So ki-sikil is our one-card combo, and this can be either ki-sikil, ki-sikil Frost. You could also have your Like Twin Sunny Snitch. Now, you will not be able to use cards such as Sprite Starter or Gigantic for this specific combo unless you run the Sprite Sprend. And the reason is because Gigantic locks you into 2s, Starter locks you into 2s, and the reason that this is a one-card combo is because of the Link 1. If you are locked in the Link 2s, you cannot go into a Link 1 and do your combo. So if you're afraid that you're going to get locked a lot of the time and not be able to go into this combo, you can run Sprend. And the line through Sprend is essentially you make Sprend, you typically dump blue, and then you go into Gigantic with Sprend and an extra body to make Gigantic. You go Gigantic effect, summon ki-sikil or Red from deck, and then you link the two of them off for Evil Twin ki-sikil, and you have your combo. Now then, I will showcase this combo real quick, just by using something like the Sunny Snitch to make it as easy as possible for all of you. So first things first, you're going to activate the Sunny Snitch, you're going to search out your ki-sikil, you will normal summon your ki-sikil and link it off for a ki-sikil deal. You will activate Deal's effect. This will send a lil-la monster from your deck as cost, from your deck or extra deck. So keep that in mind because there will be some instances where, say, you haven't made Deal yet and you're going into another turn. You activate Deal to dump a lil-la from your extra deck to the graveyard, and essentially force your opponent to try not to interact with your ki-sikil and lil-la cards, or else you'll draw a card. That came up in one of my games where I had both lil-las in grave, and I had to dump a Evil Twin lil-la from extra deck in order to force my opponent into a worse spot, and it worked out for me. So you're going to dump the Sweet from deck, and then you're going to activate effect to special summon it. Now you are locked in the Fiends while it's face up on the field, but that doesn't matter because you're going to link them out for either your Evil Twin lil-la or your ki-sikil. Now, there are merits to summoning both, and the safest play is to go into the lil-la, because this prevents your opponent from using a Bestial on your ki-sikils. They essentially have to have 2 Bestials for them to stop the lil-la play here. If they have Bell, it still works, but typically when you go into the ki-sikil in this state, if you activate the ki-sikil effect and they chain a Bestial and they remove your Sweet, well, now you're out of a ki-sikil effect. So it is safer to go into the lil-la at this point. Use the effect, so if they have a Bestial or they have grave removal like DD Crow, they really can only choose one target. So you will summon the Deal, and then you will go into your Evil Twin ki-sikil. This makes it safer because now you have 2 ki-sikils and 2 lil-las in your graveyard. So just keep that in mind, and if you're afraid of not getting the draw, you're going to get the draw regardless when you make Trouble Sunny. So here you're going to go ki-sikil effect to summon lil-la. You will go into your Trouble Sunny, and then here you will activate Trouble Sunny to summon back both. At this point, you are Fiend locked out of the extra, or you are Fiend locked in the extra deck. You are not Fiend locked from monster summons from hand, so you can still use the Sprite cards, which makes this version probably the best version outside of the Fiendsmith version, because not only in the Sprite version can you stop Nib, which is an extremely difficult card to deal with in the deck, but you can also play through Fulos to a better degree. For example, if you get Fulos, you can use the sprite cards to maybe give them one draw and go into something like Jin Buster, but you can also grab Sprite Starter and then summon your negates on the opponent's turn. So, now that you have done this, you're going to draw a card off of the ki-sikil, and then you're going to go into your Abao, excuse me, that is Goddess. You're going to go into your Abaoku. Here you will discard a card, so it can just be the card that you drew off of the ki-sikil. It will banish, and remember the discard is cost, and you will summon your Treble Sunny. So now on end phase, the Abaoku will come back. You should have 4 cards in your hand at the end of this, and you will pass turn on this. So now, what happens if you open, say, a ki-sikil instead of what you had prior, which was a Frost? So if you normal the ki-sikil, you can summon a lil-la from deck, and there are a couple of options. You do not want to summon a suite unless you have an extra suite in your deck. If you are running more than one suite, I would recommend summoning one suite and then dumping another suite with the ki-sikil deal, just to prevent your opponent from shotgunning things like Bestials and removing one suite from grave. So, with this, you summon the lil-la from deck, and now you have an option here, which you could replace the Goddess with if you're worried about it. You can replace Goddess with a 𝐒𝐮𝐩𝐩𝐸𝐵, and this will allow you to essentially protect your Evil Twin Live Twin plays from being impermed if they did not imperm here, which a lot of inexperienced players will imperm the normal summon, and they will probably also try to imperm the ki-sikil deal. Those are incorrect. You always want to hand trap the Link 2s, or if they summon Treble Sunny, you want to Bell Treble Sunny. So you typically want to hand trap the Link 2s or Bell the Treble Sunny, because it is the highest impact and the most they get is a single draw compared to if you're sitting here and going like, oh, imperm the normal, okay, imperm the deal, okay, I'm now out 2 cards and they're still going full combo. So, you can go into 𝐒𝐮𝐩𝐸𝐸𝐸 here, you don't have to though, but what I'm going to do is I am going to summon the ki-sikil deal, and I am going to use the effect to dump the suite from deck. Also going to move some of these things over to allow you guys to see a little better. Now, here, you have a couple of options. If you have an extender in hand, like say a ki-sikil Frost, you could summon the Frost from hand, and you could make a gigantic right here. However, that does play in the nib, so you need to be very careful. You could summon the suite and make a Jin Buster here, and if you're playing the treat, and you have access to treat, you can still do your Life Twin combo. Because I'm not running either of those, I'm going to be doing just the normal combo here without the use of suite. So, you will be going into your lil-la to summon deal. Link these two out into ki-sikil to summon lil-la. Go into your Treble Sunny to summon them both back. You will draw a card off of the ki-sikil, and then you will go into your Abao. And then you will discard, banish, and summon. Now then. In phase this will come back, and it is the same exact thing as the previous combo, but if you are running those extra things, you will be able to do more with your board by opening the normal ki-sikil. So, now what happens if you open, say, ki-sikil and Frost? Or even lil-la and Frost. You can open a combination of lil-la and Frost, or ki-sikil and Frost. It does not matter. what you would do in an instance like this is you would go normal ki-sikil, summon the lil-la from deck. You would simply link out the ki-sikil for deal. Here you would dump your suite from deck. And now you do not use the deal, or the suite, you do not use the suite just yet. The reason is because you're going to go through your life twin line, so you're going to summon your links, do your link plays, and before you make Trouble Sunny, this is very important. So before you make Trouble Sunny, you want to summon Suite from grave, and you want to summon Frost from hand. There is a reason for this, because when you go into Trouble Sunny, if your opponent bells this, you still have 2 bodies to go into another ki-sikil and have a pop for your opponent's turn. However, if they do not bell it, then you can safely go into your ki-sikil and lil-la, and this is another instance where you can choose another package that you might want to run. So, for example, you can go into the Unchained Soul of Yama with the 2 of these cards, because they are both fiends. You can search for Shavara, activate Shavara effect in hand, or link the Suite and the Yama out into a Soul of Rage, activate the Shavara in hand to pop the Rage, summon itself, and then you will go Yama Chainlink 1 to summon a Fiend from grave, and then the Rage Chainlink 2 to add a Fiend from grave to hand. So you would summon back a ki-sikil, and then you would add back deal to extra deck. And so now you would have 4 bodies. You would have the Shavara, the ki-sikil, and the Frost. You would link all 4 of them out for your 𝐒𝐤𝐽, and then you would use the Shavara to set the Unchained Chamber Trap from deck, so that you can summon the Soul of Rage on your opponent's turn, which is very good. Very, very, very good. It also gives you another avenue to experiment with if you don't really like the sprite package. Also, the Shavara technically going to help you dodge things like Imperm, because it is a quick effect. So if you go into your life twin plays and you go effective revive from grave and your opponent goes Imperm, you can chain the Shavara to pop it and summon itself, and then still revive the ki-sikil or lil-la from grave. So that is very important to know. Now, something that I do very much enjoy about this deck in particular, this version in particular, is if you open a jet or a blue with your ki-sikil, your board becomes nib proof, and you do not have to use gigantic at any point. Allow me to explain. So you go normal ki-sikil, do your typical play of summon lil-la, except here you're going to summon either your jet or your blue. In this case I'm going to use blue. So you go summon blue, effect to add. So you will add your jet. And of course if you already have jet, or if you have starter, you can add like red or carrot, doesn't really matter. Here you will go into your Gen Buster, because it takes 2 level 2 dark monsters, which the blue and the lil-la both are. So this is 4th summon, and then now you can go ki-sikil into your deal effect to dump the suite from deck, and then special the suite, link these 2 out, do your normal life twin combo. I'm going to speed through it here real quick. Trouble Sunny, summon back, you're going to draw off the ki-sikil, and then you will go into 𝐒𝐤𝐽. Now from here, you can special the jet, grab either starter or double cross, whichever one you prefer. Again, it depends on your hand. Right here, I think I'm going to do the starter though. You can then activate the starter to summon from deck your either sprite red or sprite carrot. I typically tend to do carrot if I already have the monster negate up, if I do not have the monster negate up, I will summon red. It is also matchup dependent, so in some matchups you may find that carrot doesn't really do anything, or you might find that red doesn't really do anything. So against the labyrinth, you would typically summon carrot. Against something like, say, probably 𝐒𝐨𝐜𝐢𝐚, you would summon red. Oh, and also before the starter, you want to do this. You want to go a battle effect to discard, banish, and then summon your Trouble Sunny. Please make sure you do that before you activate starter. Then afterwards you activate starter to summon your carrot, and then in phase the 𝐒𝐴𝐵𝐴𝐿 comes back, and on your opponent's turn, typically what happens is you will use the carrot to tribute the jet, or the buster if you've already used buster's effect. And then you can use Trouble Sunny to tag out into your lil-la and ki-sikil. And by this point, if you have a Frost Engrave, you will be drawing two, one off the ki-sikil, one off the Frost, and you will absolutely have cards in your hand to discard off of the 𝐒𝐵𝐴𝐿. The only time it gets tricky is when you open a lot of hand traps, and then you kind of have to decide, is this hand trap going to be more impactful than the destruction effect of 𝐒𝐵𝐴𝐿? And typically the answer is yes. Like, for example, if you're playing against White Forest and you have a Droll in hand, you do not want to discard the Droll off of 𝐒𝐵𝐴𝐿, just because the Droll can end their turn. Now then, let's say you open kind of a let's say you open a kind of weird hand, like let's say you open Sweet and Blue. What do you do with something like this? Well, allow me to show you. So you're going to normal to Sweet, special to Blue, Blue effect to search for your jet. Or you could do red or carrot, hand dependent, of course. And here you will overlay the two of them for your gigantic sprite. You will then use gigantic sprite. Make sure you're detaching the Sweet, by the way. It is relevant for later. You're going to summon your Frost from deck. And then here, you can special your jet, and either add starter or double cross. Depends on the matchup, again. In this case, I will add the starter, and you will use the Frost, or you might actually use the Frost and Jet to go into your Evil Twin ki-sikil. You will then use ki-sikil to summon back the Sweet. Then you will go into lil-la, and use lil-la to summon back the ki-sikil, and you will draw a card. Now, there are some things you can do here. Either you can keep both bodies on board, especially if you have something like, let's say you opened a red or a carrot. So if you opened a red or a carrot, this gives you access to 2 negates, but you have to tribute 2 monsters. So if you keep the lil-la and the ki-sikil on the board, you can get maximum value off of something like this, because you would be going effective red to tribute lil-la, negate, then you'd go ki-sikil effect, summon pop, and then you would go carrot effect to tribute ki-sikil, negate, and then summon ki-sikil back and draw. But you would want to do it in the reverse order. So for example, you would want to tribute ki-sikil first, so that you can fire lil-la off immediately, and then you could go ki-sikil, draw, and then go carrot effect to tribute lil-la, so then you can summon lil-la back to pop something. So just keep that in mind. And again, if you don't see any Life Twin names, and you are worried about that happening, then you can run the Sprite Sprend. There are honestly just so many different cards you can run in extra deck that might come up in your matches, and stuff that you may feel more comfortable with playing. Because I know some people, when they don't see the Life Twin cards, they tend to freak out because they don't really know how to deal with only having a sprite board. Now, like, let's say you have something like blue jet. You could normal jet, special blue search. Or do the opposite, you could normal blue, special jet, search for starter. Or you could search for the grab. Link these two out into something like IP. And then you can set your double cross and be fine there. This is typically how I tend to play into cards like 𝐒𝐿𝐴, is I will either make IP or SP and then just pass, because I don't want to commit too much. So, for example, I'm going to draw a hand, and I will give my input on ways to play through different hand traps. So if you will just give me 1 second here. Also, this deck list is 42 cards, so just keep that in mind. It would be 40, but I would either have to cut engine or hand traps, and I don't really feel like I want to do either. 42 has always been like a good sweet spot for me. This past weekend at locals, I also got 3rd place. I went 3-1. The reason I didn't get 2nd was because there were tiebreakers, and the tiebreakers screwed my record up. And also, I went to a game 3 and bricked on 5 hand traps, which also kind of just screwed me over. That's really one of the biggest downsides with a deck like this, and a deck like Centurion, or a deck like Marincess, is sometimes you will just draw 5 hand traps, and you're just like, okay, I'm doing a whole lot of nothing. Let's just hope that this seals it up, and I can top deck a starter. So our first hand is going to be Frost. This is very much a combo hand. Thankfully, because a lot of your stuff in this deck are 1-card combos and starters, you can play through multiple interaction pretty easily. The biggest issue, I believe, is board removal, which is much better to go into when you have something like a normal summon of ki-sikil. And sometimes, even if you have lil-la and you have a Frost, you can actually bait your opponent to waste an imperm on the lil-la, because they will sit there and go, oh man, they normal summon the lil-la, that's the worst one because it doesn't go in the deal. So if I imperm this, they lose. And then you drop the Frost on them and they're like, oh, well, okay, never mind. So here, you do have a couple choices. Honestly, I would just use the Snitch to search for a Frost to discard off of the Avow later, but you don't want to do it right now in case they have Droll. So here you want to go normal ki-sikil, summon your lil-la out. If they imperm this, it's fine. If they 𝐒𝐿𝐴 you here, you might not want to commit too much to your board, because you're going to get a draw off of the effective ki-sikil here. So what you want to do is you want to go special the blue, grab jet, special jet, and you have a couple of avenues that you can take here specifically. So you could theoretically go into a bell, give them another draw, and you could grab the right trap off of jet here, if you really wanted to. You could also grab the starter and have a negate with a bow up, and I will showcase how you can do this. So if you want to give them another draw, you can go special Frost. You can go 1, 2, 3, and probably 4 into... That's right, it takes a Fiend monster. My mistake. So you might actually just go into... You could just do SP here, or you could go into Gen Buster. So they would get 2 draws. You could conserve the Frost, to be honest. you could also go into, like, say, IP here, give them a draw, and then have IP with starter, so that you at least get a minimum of 3 interactions, because you would have IP to go into SP to banish, and then banish off of SP a second time, and then you would have a monster negate, or a spell trap negate, whichever one you prefer. And then you would essentially hope that that is enough to kind of keep you in the game, because Uluos into this deck does suck, which is why it's important to learn the lines and figure out how you should navigate them. Now, the best way to kind of deal with Uluos is essentially praying that you draw into red and then you have access to starter or the trap, because then that means that you are no longer really thinking about wanting to go into your extra deck all that much, because you can just set up a spell trap negate, a monster negate, and maybe, hopefully, have the trap on back row as well for insurance, and you could give them 1 draw off of going into SP with, say, blue and jet, or you could go into another monster negate. So, with this game state though, under Uluos, they've already drawn a card off of the lil-la summon from deck. So I think the best way is to kind of go into IP here and get as much bang for our buck as possible without really foreclosing on the house, you know? So then here, you're going to set your starter. You could keep the Sunny Snitch in hand and keep the Frost in hand if you wanted to, and you can safely pass turn on this, well, quote-unquote safely. But on their turn, you can activate the starter, and typically I summon red, just because it's the easiest. And also, if you really wanted to, you could also put the Frost down, just to give you another way to not immediately lose to any sort of, like, battle phase shenanigans. So you will summon the red off of the starter, and then here you can go IP with the jet, and even in some instances you can go IP into the goddess if your opponent is really just trying to amass a board and they don't immediately go into battle phase, which most smart players are going to go battle phase immediately to force the IP. So typically your IP is just going to go into the Little Knight, you're going to go effect to banish, and then if they activate another card, you can use IP to banish itself and another monster. And you will also be using the red to tribute the blue and negate a monster effect, as well as the ash to negate a surge. Now, presuming that you survive the turn, okay, the SP comes back, you would draw for turn after giving your opponent your deck to cut. So you would have Frost, Snitch, and Ghost Spell. This is really good defensively for trying to be able to set up your board, because that means that you can use the Sunny Snitch. You just grab Sweet straight up, so that you can go normal Sweet. Game state depending, of course, because sometimes it might just be better to, like, normal the Frost. So you can normal the Sweet, special the Frost, go into your Link 1, dump from the extra deck, and then you can go into your Link 2 and do your Link 2 plays. And then you have Bell to stop anything that would remove from grave, and you have SP to kind of dodge Nib. Or just dodge any other sort of effects like that. Now, when you are doing Pest Hands, this is something that is going to really help you as a player, is you need to figure out what exactly every single card does on its own, what that card does paired with individual other cards. So, for example, what does blue do with Sunny Snitch? Well, blue gets you a negate before Nib, before your 5th summon, and it also gets you either the trap to allow you to go in the IP plays if you're not afraid of Nib already, because maybe you open the cross out. You can also do SP plays You could grab a red or a carrot with starter. There are countless different end boards that these two cards can get you. Well, what does red and Sunny Snitch get you? It gets you the exact same thing as blue and Sunny Snitch would get you as far as preventing the Biru is concerned. Because you would have two monsters, you would have a ki-sikil and a lil-la, you would special the red, and you would simply keep the lil-la on the board as long as possible. I will showcase this real quick. So for example, you're going to grab your ki-sikil, normal ki-sikil, special summon your lil-la from deck, and then you would special summon your red here. You would link off the ki-sikil to go into your ki-sikil deal. ki-sikil deal effect would activate to dump your lil-la suite from deck. And now this is the part where you have to really pay attention. So you can special the suite here. Okay. And we're only focusing on this right now. Don't focus on the other cards in my hand, okay? So now you can special the suite. You can link off the deal and the suite to go into lil-la. It is very important that you go into lil-la in this instance, and there is a reason. It is because the Live Twins cannot summon themselves their other half from grave if you already control that other half. So for example, if you kept ki-sikil here, you could not use lil-la to summon the deal from grave. This is very important, and not only for you, but for your opponent to know, because if you go to a regional and you do this, you will get caught, okay? This is the, like, anyone with two eyes and a brain can read the Evil Twin cards and figure out that that is not a legal play. So you need to know this so that you do not get in trouble and potentially risk getting a round 1 loss or even a match loss, okay? So here you will summon off of the lil-la, you will summon your ki-sikil deal or your normal ki-sikil. I typically tend to do the ki-sikil in case I need to flex and go into things like gigantic or other things like that. And now, if you really want to protect your board from the Biru here, there is a way to do it, okay? However, it is not the best way. It is not incredible. So, you could either choose to keep this stuff here, and you can either take the L by going directly into ki-sikil and not being able to use its effect, but you won't be able to use the effect to draw a card, okay? So you can either hold the L and just end on essentially that to summon the ki-sikil on your opponent's turn, or you can do this a different way. Okay, we're going to put that imperm back. We are not going to make this. We are going to keep the ki-sikil on the board as well as the lil-la. You can simply use the lil-la and the ki-sikil that you have right here to go into your gigantic. You can use the gigantic effect, detaching the ki-sikil. And this is funny, you can summon another ki-sikil from deck. Or you can just commit to the sprite plays and do the sprite plays and it's fine. But the reason I'm doing this is because getting the Evil Twin stuff rolling is very, very important to do. So then here you can summon your ki-sikil, and you can use the ki-sikil to summon the lil-la from graveyard for your opponent's turn. Now, you might be thinking like, oh, well, the draw, and then having the extra body right there instead of going that gigantic and wasting it might be better. Or you might be saying to yourself, oh, there's no point in even going into another ki-sikil from deck. You could just summon blue, do blue, go into jet, special jet, you could make your Shin Buster here. Oh, also, I just remembered I was locked into Fiends with the lil-la, so you do have to do this a little differently. You can still get to this board state, but it is going to be a little weirder. So you could go into things, you could go into the Gigantic Sprite with the red, and then just stop the Nibiru immediately. By using lil-la and then red, if you're worried about Nibiru like that. Or you could just not even go in the Gigantic Sprite and then just carry on with your combo as much as you can. And essentially just like, there is going to be a time where they will be able to nib, but it'll be at an opportune time. So keep this in mind, okay? Now I'm gonna do a test hand. Also, Nibiru is in the deck. Some people might think that Nibiru conflicts, but it really doesn't conflict that much. I mean, if you're Nibiruing on your turn, you are already in a bad position, okay? And that Nibiru might genuinely just save you if you're having to use it on your turn. Also, you typically don't get locked into 2s all that often in the new versions of the list, primarily because of the Link 1 ki-sikil, and opening any sprite monster alongside your Life Twin package is just going to give you everything without even needing to go into Gigantic. Okay, now this is a hand where you're sitting here and you're like, oh, this fucking sucks. This is one of those hands, this is one of the hands that I actually opened playing against Sword Soul in Game 3, and I ended up losing because of it. Except, instead of the blue, it was a jet. I specifically had Nib, Valor, Ash, and Jet with cross out. So sometimes you're just gonna get these hands and you're gonna be like, oh, this fucking sucks. But it is just the nature of the game. It is going to happen. Don't be too beat up about it. So another test hand here. And this hand is one of the hands where you're like, wow, this is gas. Because you can go normal ki-sikil, summon from deck. If they impermit, then they are a bad player. And you go 1-2 into your deal effect from deck. Your Life Twin lil-la Sweet. And then here, you can go your normal route. You can go ki-sikil, or lil-la ki-sikil, summon, draw. Ooh, and you drew a Frost. So we draw a Frost here. That is actually pretty good because we can go Special Frost, Special Sweet. We can go into our Trouble Sunny. And a really funny thing, we can actually use the Sweet and the Frost to go into Muckraker. And there's a reason this is really funny, okay? So, you are Fiend locked. Do not forget that, alright? But the funny thing about this is, now that you have Muckraker, you kind of have the protection, but you also have a way to revive another card from grave, if you really wanted to. Which might be important for other cards you might be running in your extra deck. Like if you're running the Unchained package, and you want to go into the Unchained stuff, the Muckraker will help you a lot more. By, for example, like let's say you do the lil-la in the ki-sikil into Yama, go into Soul of Rage. You could use the Muckraker to revive the Trouble Sunny from grave. And then you can use the About to revive the Rage, and then you can conserve the Trap. But you would be discarding 2 cards, so just kind of be wary about that, alright? So, we're gonna go Trouble Sunny, Tribute, on back 2, go into our Abel. And then we can Abel effect to discard. I typically just discard it for like an extra Valor or something. Summon Banish. Then Pass turn, this comes back. And did I draw off of... I did. Yes, I did in fact draw. And honestly, you don't even have to go into the Muckraker, you could just use the Frost as a discard for a Bell. Because unless you're playing against... unless you're going into like games 2 or 3, the Muckraker isn't really gonna be a huge deal. Because you're only really making it if you're afraid of like a Lightning Storm or something. Or well, not Lightning Storm, because it cannot protect against the Lightning Storm. Because of, if all targets would be destroyed, you cannot tribute in a target that is that your opponent is attempting to destroy as well. So it would be good for things like, I don't know, like Final Bringer of the End Times or something like that, so keep that in mind. But yeah, the deck is not very complicated at all. You do not really lose to draw. The cards that impact you the most are going to be Nibiru, Ulos, in some cases the Perulia, Meowls in some cases as well, just because you do summon from grave a lot. In which case you don't have to do the Life Twin stuff, you can just go down the Sprite route and completely avoid the Meowls. And then you could just avoid the Sprite route if you get Perulia'd. Nibiru is definitely like the easiest one to deal with though, just because you have so many routes to avoid Nibiru. Opening a Life Twin and any Sprite name genuinely just like fixes your issue against Nibiru. Like for example, right here. Wow, this is really funny actually. So I have a lil-la, starter, 2 ki-sikil, and a snitch. I think right here you want to normal the lil-la if I'm being honest. Summon a Frost from deck. If your opponent and perms it, you're fine because you have snitch and you also have starter. They can't ash both. So you can use the snitch, grab your Frost, special the Frost. It does suck not opening hand traps though, because if you go second, it is very tough to crack a board without weakening it via hand traps. So you can special the Frost, you can go 1, 2, or you can go 1 into deal. Deal effect to dump your Sweet. And now this part is kind of a catch-20 because you could go in the Gigantic here, but that'll be 5th summon so they will absolutely nib you. Or you could just carry on with the Life Twin combo, get as far as you want to, and then they nib you whenever they feel like it's necessary, in which case you're going to hold the starter as long as possible. Okay, the starter is going to do a lot to help you play through nib, which is why I run 3 copies and I don't run 3 Jet. Because Jet does not get you through nib, and it also is kind of worse to go into a board with just Jet. So starter gets us there, okay? So here you could go in the Gigantic. You could also just hold the Frost as a discard if you wanted to. But here, I think we just go into the ki-sikil. We're going to use ki-sikil, summon back the lil-la. We're going to go into... honestly? How should I do this? I think here we probably could just use both bodies to go into the lil-la. And then we go into the Trouble Sunny. Sunny effect to summon back. Now if they nib you here, you're fine. You just go starter, summon blue, blue effect, grab Jet, summon Jet, grab Gamma Burst, or not Gamma Burst, excuse me, the trap. You go into Gigantic, summon red from deck, and you could safely pass turn on that, because then you at least still have a board. Or hell, you could even just go into Gigantic, use Gigantic to summon red, ki-sikil, excuse me, you could summon a ki-sikil, and then you could go Gigantic and the ki-sikil into another ki-sikil to have the pop on your opponent's turn. So, here we're gonna get the ki-sikil draw. It's a bell, which is cool, but a little late. Then you will go into your Abel. Excuse me, I always put Goddess out when I'm looking for a bell because they look so similar. Abel, you go Abel, discard Tribute, or discard Banish, summon. Now here you can go Starter, summon from deck your blue. Grab your Jet, Special Jet, grab the Trap. And then you can go 1-2 into Gigantic. Or excuse me, you are Fiend locked, so you will not be going to Gigantic, you will be going to the Djinn Buster. And then you can set your double cross, the bat will come back, and you can safely pass your turn on this. So, now you have a monster negate, you get a monster steal, you have a pop with a bell, you have a draw engrave off of the Frost, and you're gonna get a draw off the Trouble Sunny. So just to simulate all of this, you use all of your effects. You will get 2 draws. Because you did go into your deck, you will have to present it to your opponent. So you will shuffle and they will cut. You'll draw, and then you will draw. Which these are fine, like it's good for next turn. Double Cross will probably attach to the Djinn Buster unless you want to steal a monster and just keep it on your board. You can Djinn Buster negate, you can bow, discard pop. I'd probably discard the Sunny Snitch, to be honest. And then you can go spell something. So, like I said, not a very difficult deck to grasp. I think that the difficult part of it is learning what inboards are the best against certain decks. So for example, against a Labyrinth, if you know that they're on the Furniture variant, it is very important to obviously establish Carrot, but after you establish Carrot, you will also probably want to put up at least a monster negate to stop things like a Lady Effect in hand, or Butler Effect to set or summon, or Furniture Effect to discard and set. Because as long as you can set up the Spell Trap negate off of Carrot, you will be fine going into back row. But setting up the multiple pops off of a bow and Trouble Sunny is going to be the most important, primarily because the more back row you remove from them, the less advantage they'll be able to accrue from it the following turn. For decks like Mitsurugi, establishing Carrot to stop prayers specifically is very important. But you might also think like, oh well, they also have a bunch of monster effects that I will want to stop, but honestly the prayers is probably the most important card you want to stop because you can use the other interactions like the Trouble Sunny, the Abel, hand traps to deal with the other cards, and then just solely keep the Carrot protected for the prayer. For things like Ryzeal, obviously establishing 2 monster negates is very good, because you're going to need at least 1 for the aggregator if they dump it off EXT. Need something for like a normal summon, or I mean, you're going to have your spot removal regardless for like normal summons and stuff like that. But establishing multiple monster negates means that they have to pump through more, rather than just going like dump aggregator and now I've already dealt with their 1 negate. So you want to establish multiple as often as possible. Also, thankfully, because Trouble Sunny is a quick effect and you can just summon 1 back, they can aggregator the Trouble Sunny and you can just go, okay, I'll chain, summon ki-sikil, now I still have a pop and I'm fine. For Malice, Malice is kind of tricky, especially with the new support. I haven't had a whole lot of testing with the new against Malice with the new support. I've had a little bit, but it wasn't enough to make me go like, oh, this deck is broken now. It kind of just ended in the same thing. I was just like, yeah, hand trap here, hand trap there. Oh, you don't have another extender you pass? Okay, cool. I'll draw, and I'll just OTK you. So. But, if you want some ideas as well, like if you don't have the Fiendsmith stuff, you could also run a Bestial package, because having Opening Rebellion gives you an extender to go into your Unchained plays, and also allows you to make your Evil Twin links, and you can also set up Regained on back row, which will give you a third draw on your opponent's turn. It is a very interesting package that I think needs some more exploration in the deck. The only downside is because you will be running more hand traps and less engine like Sprite, or even less engine such as Fiendsmith. It's like a 6 or 7 card engine for the Bestial stuff. You will be seeing combo less, which can come to bite you in the butt, because I took Bestial Life Twin 2 locals 2 weeks ago, and I went 2-2. Both of my losses were from breaking on hand traps, so, which that could have also just been like an RNG thing. But I hope that this was informative. If you guys want to see more, if you want to see other decks, I plan on releasing a Ryuji Tenpai deck profile, a 60 card branded Destruction Sword deck profile, a Dinomorphia deck profile. I have a bunch of deck profiles that I have in the works right now. So, again, thank you for watching. I stream on Thursdays, Sundays, and Mondays. You can check my Twitter for the schedule. Also, if you plan on going to there's a regional in June. I believe it's in Greenville or somewhere in that area. I will be there, and I will be there with my team, Team Night Shift. So if you want to say hello, we will be there, and yeah, thank you for watching. I'll catch you guys later. Take care of yourselves, alright? See ya.